Hello and welcome to the third part of this movie application using Kotlin Multiplatform Mobile. Today we are finally going to implement the iOS side of our movie application. If you haven't already, then please consider watching the first part because it's crucial to the rest of this video series, and you want also to watch the second part in which we covered the Android side. Alright, so I've got here, as you can see, my Xcode opened. And the first thing is to open our project inside Xcode. For that, you need to click on the third option here, open a project or file. Click there. I'm going to locate my projects inside Mr. Deep, Android Studio Projects, Movies, and you need to select this iOS app, iOS app folder, and then click Open. It will open our project inside Xcode. You need to click here on this content view. Get rid of this. Replace that with hello world, just like so. Then rebuild the preview and make sure that everything is working without any problem now. Alright, as you can see here, our preview is now working. The first thing I would like also to do here is to come up and click on this iOS app, not on the photo one, but this with the Xcode icon. You need to click there and come inside this info tab. Over the last key here, just put your mouse there and click on the plus icon that you see, then select appearance in the menu. For the value, we are going to set that to dark. This way, we have forced our app to work only in dark mode. As you can see, let's wait for the build. As you can see now, we are using our application only in dark mode. So the second thing that you could do here is to rename this content view to home screen, and you need to hold Control, click on this content view, refactor, rename. So I'll rename this as a home screen, the same as what we got in Android. You also need to change this from content preview to home screen previews. You can close that and reopen. Alright, so it's working now. The first thing we'd like to do here is to create our home screen, as you can see. And for that, we first of all need to create a view model. So right click on this home screen file here, new group from selection. To keep things organized here, I'm going to name this as home. Close this. Now right click on this home here and create a new file, and not a SwiftUI but a Swift file. Click next and give it the name HomeViewModel. Alright, let's quickly import our shared module. Alright, so I'm first of all going to create a new class here. I will name this HomeViewModel. This extends the observable object. That way, some of the properties that are going to be declared with this annotation at published here are kind of having a state for the view. So whenever the value changes, our view will update automatically, kind of recomposing like what we say in Android. I'll remove that for now. We need to make this extension. To make this an extension to our home screen, it's just a best practice here. You don't have to. It's just something that I've seen on internet. And also we need to add this annotation main actor to make sure that any change to any properties inside this HomeViewModel class will happen on the main thread. Alright, so first of all, I will need here an instance of my get movies use case. So for that, I will declare a new private let get movies use case and call get movies use case.init to create a new instance. Down here, I'll add my first at published private stat var movies. This will be an array of movie, and I will initialize this with an empty array. Right, so this private set here, make sure that this value can be changed only inside this HomeViewModel class here. Now I will need also here it at published private set. I'll name this is loading. For whether we're loading data or not, it will be of type bool, and I will initialize this with false. I'll need a private var current page to keep track of which page of data is currently loaded, and I would like here also a private set var load finished, whether we can still load more data or not. It should be of type bool, initialize to false. Right, so here I will create a function to load our movies. For that I need this func keyword, and I'll give it the name of load movies. This is a function that is going to load movies from our get movies use case. So in here we are going to call our get movies use case operator invoke function, but that was a suspend function, and we don't have any coroutine scope here to call our suspend functions as we do in Kotlin. There are actually two options here, although not optimal. You can use the completion handler to get a callback whenever the function completes. You can also use the async await mechanism that were added in Swift 5.5. That is what we're going to use in this video, but keep in mind that both of these solutions are not optimal since there is no way to make a coroutine cancellation. I will show you that in more advanced KMM application, but here we're going to keep things simple. So at the end of this functional declaration, I'll add this async keyword. Yeah, this is kind of marking a function as suspendable. And inside here, I'll first of all check if we are already making a request, if is loading, and in that case, I need to return from the function. If not, then I need to surround my call to get movies use case with a do catch block. This is equivalent to try catch in Kotlin. This is do catch here. I will move to this catch block, and whenever there's an error, I would like to say loading is finished. We're not loading anymore because there was an error, and I will also need to stop the pagination, so I will set this to true, and we can also print our error. Localized description, remove this pattern, and then go back to inside our do block. So in here we are going to call our get movies use case invoke operator function and set the result to a new variable here that I'm going to call movies. This will be equal to try and await get movies use case dot invoke, passing in a page as integer 32. This is how you convert Swift integer to Kotlin integers actually. Alright, so this await keyword is what is telling the rest of the code that this get movies use case invoke function can take a little bit of time to complete, so it will kind of suspend the execution here and resume when this get movies use case here return a value. After we've got our page of movies, we need to set the is loading to false to inform the UI that the loading is finished, and also load is finished. This variable here will be true if the movies page that we receive is empty. So whenever the moviedatabase.org returns us an empty list, then we know that we can't fetch any more data. I will also increment the page by 1, And finally, set our self.movies equal to self.movies plus the list of movies, the page of movies we've got here. Alright, so just like that, we're done actually with this HomeViewModel class. Now go back inside our home screen. As you can see here, we will first of all need a grid list item. We're going to create a new file for that. Let me close this. Before that, I would like here to add one thing, and that is you need to click here on the iOS app folder, create a new group. I'll name this util, and inside here I'm going to create a new Swift file. Select Swift file and I'll name this sample. So let's import quickly our shared module. I'm going to paste here this code here. It's just a movie that will help us for the preview. You can copy this from my GitHub repository just to make sure that what I'm currently writing makes sense, because I'm not that expert in SwiftUI as well. Alright, so close this util and then come back here. Right click on this home, create new SwiftUI view and click next. So we'll name this MovieGridItem. Let's quickly import our shared module. This movie grid list item will need a movie. Let's declare that here. And for the preview, we're going to pass our sample movie, like so. Wait, and let's make sure that everything is working. Alright, so it's working now. So first of all, I will remove this text and wrap everything inside a VStack. VStack here is the equivalent to column in Compose. So for this VStack, I will set the frame max width to be infinity. This means that take up all the space that will be available. And for the max height, I will set it to 260, like so. Alright, so I would like here to align everything on the leading side, and also to separate children here with a spacing of 8. Now inside this VStack, I will need a ZStack. ZStack here is the equivalent to box in Compose, so it will lay things on top of each other. And inside this, let me first set a frame to max width infinity as well. I'll call here ideal height to infinity. Guys, let me know if this is the right way to tell a view that okay, you will take the remaining space. So I don't know if this is the right way to do this, but in my demo app it was working. Tell me down in the comment if this is the best way to do that. I don't know. So inside this ZStack, we first of all need an async image. URL will be from our movie.image URL. We'll get an instance of image in. Okay, so let's add a placeholder to be color.gray. And let me add here a clip shape to be a rounded corner, rounded rectangle with corner size of 8. Alright, the image not showing, so we need to call this image.resizable. And wait and see. There we go. The image is showing now. So below this async image, I will add here a circle of frame width 50 and height 50. I'll set the foreground color here to be black with opacity of 0.7. So below this circle, I'll need an image for the play icon. Use system name play.fill. Now, below this Z stack, I will add a text here for our title, movie.title. We use the font to be title 3, the font weight to be bold, and line limit equals 1. Now we'll need one more text here for our release date, movie.release date. Font, it will be a caption. Yeah, only with that I think we're done with this movie grid list item. Now come back inside our home screen. To create a grid list of items here, we need an array of data to display and also a lazy vertical grid. Let me first of all here add our view model, state object var view model, and we'll initialize this to home view model. Down here I need grid columns, which will be an array of grid item. I create a new array, choose repeating and count. So for the repeating, we're going to repeat our grid item using the flexible. This flexible here means that let me finish writing count to. Okay. Right, so this flexible here means that we'd like to have here 2 items. The grid item here flexible means that you will take as much spaces as they are on the horizontal direction. Right, so now we need to come here inside our body. We need navigation stack, and inside this navigation stack we need to wrap everything inside a scroll view, for which I will set the navigation title to movies. Now inside the scroll view is where we need to a lazy V grid, vertical grid. For the columns, it will take the grid columns and let's remove this content and add instead a spacing of 12, then open curly braces. In here we're going to call a for each viewModel.movies. Set the ID to be the movie ID and also open curly braces. So in here we need to call our movies grid item and pass the movie that we need to get from here, movie in, like so. Right, you can see that we can't see any movie here because we haven't called the load movies function yet. We'll call that when the when the view appears. So for that we need to add a task here to our navigation stack. Now this task here is kind of coroutine scope tied to the life cycle of the view, like what we have life cycle scope in Android. And also it allows us to call async method suspend method in SwiftWord, in Kotlin Word instead. All right, so from in here, I will say await view model dot load movies. Normally this will not work because we haven't initialized our coin yet. At the end of the second part, I told you to add that helper function, which should help us initialize or start our coin application. So for that, you need to click on this iOS app Swift file. So inside here at the initialization, this is like, oh, what have I done here? Now this is equivalent to Android application class. So in here we would like on the init, on the initialization of our app, to call our coin helper. Oh, we don't have that yet. We need to import our shared module. So coin helper kt class dot do init. That's why our coin application will be started when the iOS app is initialized. So come back in our home screen. Let's wait and see. There we go. As you can see now, we are having our first page of movies. We'd like here to set a little bit of padding on the horizontal direction. So you come here, add a padding, horizontal of 12. Right, that's good for now. So we'd like also to have a spacing between these items. So for that, we can increase this here, the space, not the count, the spacing to be 16. Let's see. Yeah, that's much better now. Let's also add here spacing of 16. Yeah. Okay. Now let's run this inside our simulator and see what result we've got here. This is my demo app, but for the reason that I don't understand, it will replace inside this application, unfortunately. So this is the first launch of our application, so it will take a little bit of time. There we go. As you can see, we have successfully loaded our first page of movies. And you can see that it's pretty much simple consuming shortcode on the iOS side. So the next thing that we'd like to do here is to load more movies, whatever. We are on the last item here. So I'm going to close this and come here on this call to MovieGridItem. I'm going to add a new task. I'll first of all check if movie is equal to viewModel.movies.last, and make sure that viewModel is not in loading mode if we are not loading. Also, I want to make sure that viewModel load is not finished. Then I'll call await viewModel.load movies. This will normally load a second page of movies when we reach. So we're getting a problem here. Let me make. So what does this say? Expect after the if. Okay. We forgot to add this. Alright, so I think this is working. We can directly test inside this live preview. Let's run. There you go. As you can see, it's loading more and more pages as we reach the bottom of each page. It's working without any problem. All right, the next thing is to have like progress indicator. So whenever someone has a weak internet connection, so you will come down this for each. We're going to check first of all if view model is loading. Then we'd like to add a section. We need a footer, and that will be a progress view. Let's test this out. Now this is loading quick, so you can see that inside this emulator here. But on your side, if you have a weak internet connection, this will work. You will see that progress indicator. All right, so the next thing here is to create a detail view. So whenever someone clicks on one item, the app should bring them to a detail screen where they can get more information about the movie. So I will need to create here a new group inside this iOS app folder, new group, and I will name this detail. And inside this detail folder, I'll create a new SwiftUI file. Make sure SwiftUI view is selected. Click next, and I will name this detail view, detail screen, like so. We won't create any view model here. We just receive a movie. Okay, we need to import shared, and for the preview, we'll pass here our sample movie, like so. All right, so okay, let's make sure that the preview is working. All right, so our preview is working without any problem. Now, first of all, I'll need to wrap this everything inside a scroll view. Inside the scroll view, I will need a vertical stack. I will set the frame to max width infinity and max height infinity, means take all the space. So inside this vstack, I will need a zstack for my image. I'll set the frame to be max width infinity and minimum height to be 300 and max height to be 300 as well. Alright, so inside this vstack, we'll need our async image, not image but URL movie.image URL. We'll get an instance of image in the placeholder. Let's use progress view this time. So there will be this progress there, and called image.resizable. Below the zstack, I need a vstack for the text, the button, the release date, and the description for the text title. So I would like to align everything. Let me call the alignment leading and spacing of 12. So I will add here padding of 20. I use the background black. So inside this vstack, we'll need a text for our title, movie.title. For the font, we'll use title. For the font weight, bold. Down here we'll need a button. Action, we won't do anything for that. So we'll set here the frame to be max width infinity and max height 40. We'll add padding and add a background red. So I would like to lay the play icon and the start watching now. So I'll need an edge stack here. Image system name will be play.fill. The foreground color will be black. I'll need also here a text. Start watching now. I'll set also the foreground color to be black as well. So below this button, I will need a text for the release date. It's released in string interpolation movie dot release date uppercase. Down I will need another text for the description with a description font to be body, like so. Let's add a fixed size here. Horizontal, this will be false. Vertical, true. Because what I noticed is that it was truncating this text here. We need to add that also for our title here. Fix the size, horizontal false, vertical true. Yeah, like so. Now I'd like also here the image to take like even the status bar, and for that you need to add scale to fill. You need to call this scale to fill method. So go back inside here, inside our home screen. We will need to create a navigation destination for each item. So code here on our lazy vgrid here, navigation destination. It will be for our movie.self. So the destination, let's first of all get a movie in, and the destination will be our DetailScreen, like so, and you pass the movie. Now to navigate, we need to surround this movie grid item call inside a navigation link. So right here, navigation link for value movie, and paste our call to movie grid list item, then add this button style to plain button style to remove this color on each text here. Yeah, so like that, I think we have here implemented the navigation. You can click on one item and that will bring you to a detail screen, as you can see. So let's test that inside our simulator. Where is it? Okay. Okay, we are loading movies. Here we can click on one item. There we go. We have our detail screen. I'd like also to make this button rounded corner, to add rounded corner on this button. We're going to fix that. Yeah, as you can see, we're loading more and more pages. Let me close this. And on this button here, what is that? Inside our detail screen, hard clip here, clip shape, rounded rectangle of 8 dp. Then rerun the app. Let's test this. There we go. So our app is working. You can see that it was pretty much easy to write an iOS application of our KMM. So guys, this is all for this video series. We're going to have more advanced KMM series, so subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any of the upcoming series, and I will always announce that on my Twitter account. Go and subscribe also there so that you will be also notified of the upcoming video series.